And we are live in cutting it short. We've got way too much to go over today. Listen, you are here for a special episode of KYP, part 3 of our division breakdown series for the NFL 2026 season. My name is Nathan Hawthorne. This is my co-host, Jared McEnroy. Jared, what is the division we're talking about today?
We're doing the AFC West today. So again, just to kind of go over how we do this, we looked at all of the Vegas odds. We looked at their win totals that they gave them, and we're going to kind of break down, do we think they're going to be over or under that win total? It's up to you if you want to put money on it or not. We are not telling you to, however. We got some opinions, so we're going to tell them to you. We kind of had an order that we had in mind here, but I think we should start with Denver.
Okay, yeah, let's start with Denver.
Let's start with Denver before we get into the other ones, because I have an opinion about this one, and I think they're important to talk about since they won the division last year, and since they should have been in the Super Bowl without that one very unfortunate injury. Well, first, let's go over what everybody's total is, and then we'll jump back to Denver. So Denver's at 9.5. Chiefs are at 10.5 wins. Raiders are at 5.5 wins. And the Chargers are at 9.5 wins. So Denver being at 9.5, what does that tell you that Vegas thinks of them?
This tells me that Vegas thinks that they're going to regress. I think last year they had 12 wins that were not fourth quarter comebacks, second half comebacks. That's a lot. That doesn't happen a ton in the NFL. Usually the clock gets bled out. There's not enough time to come back. They had that famous fourth quarter comeback against the Raiders. They were down like 19 points, something like that. Crazy. And then you got to look at those games that they did win. 11 of those were one-score games. I mean, you're talking about the ball bouncing a different direction on a punt, nicking somebody's leg. That's kind of the difference we're looking at. So Vegas is looking at like, okay, so Bo Nix is coming back from what turned out to be a pretty major injury. A lot of the pieces are coming back, but we don't see this team winning all of those one-score games. So that's why you're seeing that 9.5 point.
Okay. And do you have a firm stance on an over or under? Where do you see them finishing?
I think it's over 10 wins. I'm sorry, I think it's over 9.5 wins. I think 10 wins, but I think 10 wins is about it for this Broncos team. I love Bo Nix. I'm an Oregon guy through and through. I didn't like him year 1. Year 2, he grew on me. I want to see him succeed. However, I didn't see him completing enough passes down the field on a consistent basis and making more out of the offense. It seemed like everything was really hard for Bo Nix last year, and that can be growing pains, right? With Sean Payton as your head coach, he demands a lot of you. But I didn't see a lot of growth as the year went on. Maybe that changes this year, but I think because Bo Nix appears to be limiting that offense, I just don't know what to make of it. Now, they've relinquished the play calling to Davis Webb. I'm not sure if that changes things also, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Here's where I have a tough time in this series that we're doing is if I have them just over, I have a hard time putting them over. So if I thought that they were an 11-win team and I was looking at their schedule and taking everything into consideration, I would have chose the over. I'm going to firmly choose the under. I think 9 is their cap. I think they're going to have a pretty big regression, and I think that the quarterback position, there's a lot more uncertainty there than we think. Again, like you said, the Bo Nix injury was very substantial, and it's probably going to affect how he comes into this year, especially early on in the season. There's a really high risk of re-injury. I will kind of disagree with you a little bit. I thought he really took big strides last year, and I thought he did show a lot of improvement and a lot of maturity as a really good quarterback. But you could be the best quarterback in the NFL. If your legs don't work, then they don't work. Like I can't say anything other than that. So it's hard to knock a team and knock a person for an injury. However, they're going to have to prove that he's ready to go, and I don't see anyone else in that QB room unless maybe they make a trade, and then that puts them in a weird position later on for a QB battle. But the rest of their team looks good. The addition of Jalen Waddle is huge, obviously.
Huge.
That wide receiver room is looking a lot more exciting. They look a lot faster as a team. They went and got Jonah Coleman from Washington. Like, there's the offense is continuing to kind of retool, and we know the defense is going to be locked in, but you also have two teams that are going to make a big jump in this division that are not you. So that's also a piece of this where I'm like, how many of those division games are you going to be able to squeak out? Like you said, how many of those one possession games are you going to pull out? Like it's going to be tough, but I have a hard time thinking 9, and they might get all 9 of those wins. Like it might not be like, a huge regression where they're down at like the 6-7 win total. It could be all 9 of those wins, but I don't know.
I'm seeing your case for the under. I just think the team is too talented, and Bo Nix is good enough at quarterback. You mentioned that he improved. I think he didn't really improve. His completion percentage, his touchdowns, all went down in that year span from 2024 to 2025, right? And that's with the bigger postseason. And again, something must be going on upstairs for Sean Payton to relinquish play calling. I'm not sure the last time he's done that, if he's ever done that. So something wasn't clicking in that relationship, or maybe there was something getting lost in translation that now requires Davis Webb to step in. So I'm optimistic. In year 3, typically we see these quarterbacks make the jump if they are going to make the jump. And so I'm optimistic for that to happen. But again, reading into what Vegas saw last year with the 1-score wins, Bo Nix, again, things looking really hard on offense until late in the game. I think those things, and again, you mentioned the 2 other teams in the division getting better. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. I feel like where he made his jumps, though, were all in like the things that are not on the stat sheet. I feel like he certainly looked more composed. He looked very under control in those tight games and in those important possessions. He knew when he needed to take care of the ball a little bit more than, other times in the game where you can take more risk. So I would say like he just looked more like an NFL quarterback, like a successful, like viable quarterback option. But yeah. I have him finishing 3rd though, and it sucks. I hate to call it that big of a regression, but like I think they're 3rd in the division this year. And
it's a good division. So 3rd in this division is probably better than a lot of other spots in the NFL, especially on the AFC side. You already mentioned Vance Joseph. He's coming back again. He's got this defense just rolling. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Q Robinson. You got Pat Surtain back there, Riley Moss. Like, these dudes are absolutely scary. They're going to be aggressive in man coverage again. Like, I've got no questions about their defense at all.
What's Sean Payton going to be doing?
That's my thing.
Is he just hopping into the John Harbaugh role? Or
he's got to be transitioning to more of that oversight. And maybe he's thinking, you know what? Maybe I want my own coaching tree. So maybe he's going to start working a little bit more in that developmental role, kind of being more of a building guy. This could be a building, sort of transition move for Sean Payton. Now, that's just hearsay. I've truly got no idea whether that's the case, but we could be seeing that. We could be seeing that from him. But yeah, this is still a very good Broncos team. Let's be very clear, and that's why I still think 10 wins is more than achievable. I don't think 9. I just think it's achievable.
This is why they pick these odds.
I know.
They make you think about it. And it could be 9. It could be 10.
I truly think it comes down to the health of Bo Nix, because if he's healthy, the way that Sean Payton's offense loves to use a receiver like Jalen Waddle, it's going to open things up more for Cortland Sutton. Troy Franklin's going to get loose over the top. We already talked about the running back room between J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, and Jonah Coleman. Like, things are going to be they're sitting pretty. It's just there's other teams that are equally sitting pretty. And
quarterback is just so important. So I'll tell you one coach that won't be ever relinquishing play calling and doesn't give a crap about his coaching tree, and that's Andy Reid. You would never, and this is why I have a tough time, because I'm like, you make a good point. Like, you already see these Shanahan and these McVay coaching trees around, and Sean Payton has that ego of like, I want that coaching tree and have my legacy left with the NFL. Andy Reid does not care. He cares about just his football team. He cares about winning games, and he cares about winning, probably as many Super Bowls as he can before he retires. So,
is this
10.5 wins.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this the official transition to the Chiefs? Yeah.
This is the transition over to the Chiefs. 10.5 wins, and that's Vegas saying they're going to be the division winner. That's a big jump. This was the only team so far doing this where I actually went week by week and was like, what could their win total be? Mm-hmm. I had them as at worst 10 wins and at most probably 12.
Yeah.
So with it being at 10.5, again, as my rule from earlier, 12 wins is very much achievable. I have them at an over. Here's the thing. They have a really hard schedule. If you look at that schedule, they play some really, really tough games. So
I'm gonna pull
there's a lot of 50-50s, but yeah, pull it up. There's a lot of 50-50s on their schedule, but if you're a good team, it doesn't matter. And we're going to have this conversation when we get to the Chargers as well, but you have to prove that you are that team. You don't care who you play week in and week out. Patrick Mahomes isn't scared of anybody in the NFL. Let's be honest. He's not. He couldn't care less. His legacy's cemented, but he is also a dog, and he wants to win as many as he possibly can. So he's not coming any lighter at you, but he's certainly not scared of anybody. And they have a lot to prove. I think both of them, they have a refreshed room in general, I think they've gotten a lot of people out of the building that might not have been great locker room people. But it looks like at the moment, Pat's new favorite target is kind of up in the air, which is giving everybody something to play for. There's a lot of names around the camps that they are just kind of popping out of nowhere, random picks you didn't even think of. But then also, the usual suspects will kind of be in the mix as well. But Travis Swift, did he take her last name? I don't know. But he's preoccupied, and he's looking for a new best friend. And he's going to be here a lot longer than Travis is. So look for a lot of people trying to prove something.
Yeah, certainly prove something. And what makes this need to prove it so beautiful is this team has the most continuity from coaching staff to the players on both sides of the football. And that's what you want to see. In the NFL, it's really, really hard to keep teams together because money starts flying everywhere and they start picking and poaching your players. You've got Eric Bieniemy back. I consider that continuity. Of course, you've still got Spags, you've got your head coach, Andy Reid, and you've got Patrick Mahomes. You added Kenneth Walker. This is the first time they've had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2017 with Kareem Hunt. Now, he didn't do the 1,000 yards with the Kansas City Chiefs, but you feel confident that you can give him a lot of carries and start to really tote the rock and take the pressure off of Patrick Mahomes. Because Isaiah Pacheco was getting 3 yards no matter what. Guaranteed 3.
It wasn't going to be more.
No more, no less.
Usually
no more,
wasn't
no less.
less.
You added another concern of mine is just the wide receiver room. We talked about this during the NFL draft. We thought maybe the Chiefs, or at least I thought maybe the Chiefs go out and get yourself an elite wide receiver. They didn't do that. They've got a lot of faith in Rashee Rice, not just being mentally available, but being physically available with his health. That's a concern. Same deal with Xavier Worthy, whether it's his ankle or whether it's his shoulder. Is he going to be available? And that a name that keeps popping up a lot during camp is Cyrus Allen. I'm hearing that this dude is an absolute freak. So I hope that he can develop. But I look at the wide receiving core, and I see that this is just a weakness for the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyquan Thornton, they struggled with a lot of drops last year, and they kind of brought back the same core. So we'll see how that all nets out. Again, I've got faith with Bieniemy, Mahomes, and Reid that they're going to put together a capable offense. It's just what you expect from them. But I'd like to see a move happen at wide receiver. I want to see Pat be entertaining again. And again, I don't know if Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice are truly the guys. They've shown that they have the capability, but availability is another big part of it. Then on the defensive side, I mean, they've essentially brought back everybody. You got Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton turned out to be a superstar. You replaced Trent McDuffie. You need to get Mansour Delane healthy ASAP, though. He had that little surgery there during OTAs. You got to get him healthy back in the back end. You picked up L'Jarius Sneed for free. He left. He thought he got the big contract. They cut him. He came back, got him for free. Love to see that happen. But again, the continuity across the coaching staff and the players is going to make what is a possible redemption story really cool for this team. I think 11 wins for the Kansas City Chiefs is right on par because, again, when you get in those close games, when you play other good teams, the greatness starts to show. When you get the good on good, great starts to show, and I think Kansas City's got plenty of it. Aged in a few spots, yeah, for sure, but not quite like the Niners.
Yeah, okay.
Bang!
The subtle shot. I feel like also running back depth may become an issue quickly. I don't know who Emmett Johnson is. I like to know my personnel. Never heard the name before. That's the
respect
second
that.
name on the depth chart. So we know K9's availability is, it's spotty. He had a running mate in Zach Charbonnet when he was in Seattle. So and what's the other guy's name? George Halani. So he had people that could kind of fill in, and he didn't have to be the every down back. It seems like they want him to be. They gave him the money to be. So
Yes. I want him to be.
that'll be interesting. But yes, depth is very important. Their wide receiver core, yes, I don't mind the Worthy, Rice, Tyquan Thornton combination, but like one of them goes down, all of a sudden, who's left? Again, like you said, Cyrus Allen's kind of coming onto the scene, but I would have loved. Andy Reid loves projects. He's really good at dealing with those personalities that are kind of out there and other people struggle with. I would have loved a Diggs there rather than Washington.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like just somebody, but like Tyreek Hill's still out there. Like there's options. We'll see. Tyreek Hill also probably isn't going to play football for a while because he alluded to him not being even close to ready to get back into form. So, Chiefs fans, I know you guys want him back, but that might not be the answer.
The one saving grace I will say for the Kansas City Chiefs, they made an excellent draft pick this year. They drafted Garrett Nussmeier.
Okay.
He's waiting in the wings. No, I'm messing around.
We have you on film saying he was the second best quarterback in the draft.
And I stand by that. I stand by it.
I have them finishing second in this division. And I have them finishing second to the team we're about to talk about.
Let's talk about the team we're about to talk
but
about.
First, do you have them winning it?
I do not have them winning the division.
Where do you have?
I have them finishing second in the division.
Okay. Well, let's just get to it then. The only team we possibly could be talking about is the Raiders. Sorry. The LA Chargers. 9.5 wins.
I love how we're both dumb enough to try and make that joke. I was going to squeeze it in, but you made it first. Yeah. Go Raiders, baby. No, but the Los Angeles Chargers. Talk to me. What do we got?
9.5 games. If you listened last week, I went on my rant. About how I am the biggest Justin Herbert. I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater of Justin Herbert. However, I am his biggest critic. I really am. He has not done anything to this point. He has had a lot of really good teams. He has had a lot of really bad coaches. We can all agree. However, he has not done anything. We can all agree. No playoff wins. He's been in the league for 6 years now. This year 7 has come up pretty quick. Like that's in a lot of quarterbacks' careers. Like that's half your career. So it's time. The time's now. But I'm bought in. I'm watching all these camp tapes. Mike McDaniel. I loved him on the Dolphins. I hated him as a head coach. Absolutely hated him. But I loved him as a personality. I loved him as an offensive coordinator. However, all the gimmicks, all those things, all the corny personality, the interviews, that all gets old fast when you start losing football games. Yeah, exactly. It gets dark quick. So he needed a change of scenery. He lost the locker room entirely. You're now in a fresh situation where Jim Harbaugh will never lose a locker room in his entire life. This is the perfect place for him. He has a ton of awesome tools. Again, we don't love their wide receiver room, but there's some guys. Lad McConkey's a guy, and I love their running back room. And if their defense is going to make a jump, which we don't know if they're going to, but again, all the usual suspects are back. The Derwin James, it's important to have a really good running game. And as I kind of talked about last week, they got Alec Ingold. He will open a lot of holes. I don't laugh at me, man. He's a Pro Bowl fullback. This is old school. Run it down your neck. Fool you.
When you said good run game, and then you said Alec Ingold, I just thought that you were inferring that he was going to be carrying the football.
Hey, he can run the rock. I've seen him do it.
It just caught me off guard. Just a little giggle to myself. I get it. You got a lot of insert wing set.
This feels like almost like everything Mike McDaniel wanted in Miami. It feels like he now has it. He has three
An elite
really
quarterback.
capable. Yes, honestly, yes. Fine, yes, you got it. He has an elite quarterback. He has three really good running backs now, and they're all going to play a lot of positions. He said it himself in the latest interview when he's talking about, sorry, fantasy owners. I can't promise you every one of these people are going to pop every game because they're all going to get run and they're all extremely talented in different ways. So watching how he controls that running back room, play designing, not sure how much of play calling he'll get his hands on, and then again, getting David Njoku, just a big target for Herbert's another big piece. And then again, they got, I always butcher his last name, Tyler Biadzis, the center. Whatever it is.
Yes.
He's a Pro Bowl center, man. Like these are big additions, and that's on top of, Joe Alt coming into another season. The O-line's going to get healthy again. Yeah, exactly. That's assuming he's healthy, but it seems like they're getting a lot of names back this year, so I like them. 9.5 games, certainly over. Certainly the division winners. I have them kind of in the 12-win range also.
Yeah, I'm going to slam the over here. It's weird that the two best teams in the division don't necessarily have the best wide receiving cores, and I'm going to be honest. The Broncos probably have the best wide receiving core, and I think that's hands down. And then even going down to the Raiders, like none of those three teams between the Raiders, between the Chiefs, and the Chargers have like great wide receiving cores, which is interesting because they've got serviceable quarterbacks. Some of them great quarterbacks. Bringing it back to the Chargers, yeah, my biggest question for them is going to be on defense and how do they replace defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. He's one of the best defensive minds in football right now. You can kind of put him up in that Mike McDonald echelon. He took a team that Brandon Staley couldn't stop a nosebleed with and made them a top 5 defense. Okay, these guys were unbelievable. Again, you already mentioned Derwin James, that head-hunting safety. You've got Elijah Molden, that high-Q safety out there. Oh my gosh, Tui Pulioto. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. It's Polly. It's hard to.
It's all right.
But they've got so much talent on that defensive side of the football. If Chris O'Leary can get these guys working on the same page, I just don't really know anything about him. He's a first-time defensive coordinator, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how this all comes together. You've got Khalil Mack, who's going to be teaching Akeem Mesidor. Like, that's going to be so scary on that defensive side of the football. Such a great pick. You've got Denzel Perryman. He was big for the Chargers a few years ago, was gone. Now he's back. You still got Troy Dye. Like, they've just got guys in places. Tony Jefferson, a good veteran on the back end. They've done so much to be deep on the defensive side of the football, and I think that that's going to show, especially late in the season. Offense, obviously Justin Herbert, backed up by the Trey Lance. Can't beat that quarterback room. And then, yeah, Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton could be a top 4 running back this year in terms of rushing yards because you know that McDaniels wants to tote the rock, and he's going to give him the ball. Keaton Mitchell, I think, is going to surpass Vidal on the depth chart. Yeah. Brennan Thompson, people are forgetting about him from, I believe it was Mississippi State. He handled almost all of their catching volume, to be frank with you. So he's a guy who could burst onto the scene maybe a few games into the year, maybe take Quentin Johnston out of the rotation. I've seen enough of the drops, QJ. I've seen enough. I can't do it anymore. And I had you on my fantasy team. I'm not going to get personal. I'm sorry. But the wide receiving core, just you can scheme open Ladd McConkey, but he can kind of be taken out of the game. It really comes down to the development of Trey Harris, and can Quentin Johnston hold on to the football? The answer is no. Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt as your tackles. I mean, that's just huge. These guys are just monsters. They're going to put a lot of pressure on teams running downhill. I really love what they've got going this year. Chargers are going to win this division. They're the most balanced team top to bottom, and arguably the most talented roster. You could say not just in the division, but probably in the AFC right now. Yeah,
damn near. Like I can't think of many rosters I would take over theirs. I will say there's gonna be growing pains because I've seen a McDaniel offense. I've watched every game he's ever coached, and there's a lot of timing routes. There's a lot of trust with your quarterbacks and trust with your wide receivers that they're going to be in positions that they need to be in. It'll be interesting how he treats this team differently than he treated his previous team, because they really are different when it comes to talent. He has, like you said, 3 really good running backs, but they're completely different than the 3 running backs he just had. None of these guys are A-Chain. None of these guys are Ollie Gordon. Like, this is a whole different room of guys who are good at different things. So, and again, wide receiver wise, you can scheme all you want, but it's easy to take one guy out of the game. Will they make a move? Will they be aggressive? The NFL's hard, man. This is why, really, like, they need to take a page out of the NBA's book. Take a page out of the NBA's book. Get aggressive at the trade deadline. Go all in. Go get somebody. You have 7 rounds worth of picks to play with. Like, do it. Why not? What are we waiting for? Now is the time. You have a questionable Chiefs team. You don't know how Patrick Mahomes is going to come back. The Broncos are injured. Like, this is the time. I don't know. We'll see. But we do have one last team we need to talk about.
I do want to ask you one question about McDaniel. Because it felt like towards the end of his tenure, I don't know what plays he was calling, if he just decided I'm already out, so it doesn't matter. How much bigger of a playbook are we going to see with Justin Herbert than we saw with Tua?
I hope so much bigger. I hope so. Because, dude, I've never seen more screens in my life. I've never seen more giving up on drives when you're 3rd and 8. Like, he never throws it past the sticks on anything more than 3rd and 6. He just concedes way too quickly on a drive. Now, again, it could have been limitations. It could have been he's seen Tua turn the ball over too many times in their side of the field. Like, there could be a lot of reasons why. We don't know. But I would like to think that we'll see the whole playbook unleashed. I don't think he's going to have any restraints. I think that Jim Harbaugh, again, is going to be in his ear. I think everybody that Jim Harbaugh knows around the league, who's been around the league, there's a huge network that the Harbaughs have that he will probably expose McDaniel to that he might not have already been exposed to. And I think we'll see him a little more dialed. And again, maybe it's because he has that head coaching experience also. It could be the battle wounds. But, yeah, the dude busts his ass as a coach. Watches film, looks at everything, spends a lot of time really being a nerd about football. That's why I believe in him. And that's why I believed in him before. But all right, that's a whole nother problem. Raiders, 5.5. We don't need to talk about this one for too long, do we?
I want to take the over here. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to take the over.
I do too.
Yes, but here's the deal. I want to take the over. But does it help you to take the over this year? You already drafted your guy, right? You already drafted Mendoza. You got Kirk Cousins to a nice deal, 1 year, but kind of 2 years. So Mendoza has plenty of time to develop. It just depends on what more do you feel like you need. Because honestly, I didn't see a team make any better offseason. It's hard to argue that any team made better offseason acquisitions than the Raiders did. Addressing the offensive line. Getting Tyler Linderbaum in there, like, again, another Pro Bowl center. Like, there's so many things that they did. They
need more weapons. Here's what I have with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are what you think the Titans are. Like, I think they're the scrappy team.
Robert
Saleh.
I think
they're no. Yeah,
had to get the mention in there.
I love Clint Kubiak. We saw what he did with. Okay, I have to take a second. I don't want to call Seattle limited, but in terms of talent in the room, there are a lot more talented teams that did a lot less than Seattle did.
Very true.
So Clint Kubiak is clearly a good coach. He knows what he's doing.
He's a good offensive
6
coordinator.
Wins. Well, yes,
good offensive coordinator.
We don't know about
always
coach
mean
yet.
Good coach. Yes,
100%. But just a good coach in general. We'll see. I think they're going to be scrappy. I think they'll win some games. Like you said, dude, don't win too many games because you need to get one of these big names in the next draft. You need really exciting, big playmakers to surround Mendoza with. You need Jeremiah Smith. You need, you have Ashton Genty. You have Brock Bowers. Get me one really exciting receiver, get me a vet receiver in the offseason, all of a sudden you're competitive really quick. And that's right after you paid Kirk to be a coaching mentor for Mendoza. Kirk's also now an asset because you have a team like Denver who maybe wins a couple games, Bo Nix gets re-injured. Now you have another pick coming back to you because Kirk gets dealt to another team. Like the pickup was great for multiple reasons.
Interesting.
It's never bad to have him on your team because, yeah, like I said, having control over a guy like that is great, and he's going to be great for Mendoza's growth. 5.5. They could win 6 games for sure.
Yeah. They could win 6 games, but do you want to? My only concern, I think, for this Raiders team is Kubiak, as a first-time head coach, went out and got first-time coordinators to be around him. And I'd like to see, I like when new head coaches go and get some coordinators or coaches that have at least some more experience in the league. I respect Janoko. I respect Rob Leonard. I'm just curious, again, like, how is this all going to work? Because if we're all learning together, we have our little 1, 2, 3 staff meeting. We're like, fuck, boys, we don't know what we're doing. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? Like, hey, how do we do this? We've got nobody who knows what's going on.
That's the first F-bomb dropped in KYP history,
Excuse me, we'll bleep that out. But you somehow managed to keep Crosby. You brought in Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. Your back end isn't great, but you brought in Teron Johnson to kind of be the experienced guy to kind of help out. They're going to be an interesting team, but I know for a fact the offense is going to be organized. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be exciting.
Love it. Well, let's wrap it up. I think
I gotta ask you. I think we did, but I gotta ask you the famous question that we're gonna ask everyone. I'm gonna have you rank the quarterbacks so that we can compare it to the division finishers. So go ahead and rank these quarterbacks for me: Mahomes, Herbert, Cousins, Nix.
I don't need to change it. You nailed it.
Okay, that's the list.
Oh, wait. No, sorry. Let's flip Nix and Cousins. So it's Mahomes 1, Herbert 2, Nix 3, Kirk Cousins 4. That's the order. And in terms of division, how I have them finishing, I have Chargers 1, Chiefs 2, Broncos 3, Raiders 4.
Yeah. Okay, that kind of makes sense. I mean, it's just going to be interesting.
Almost the same.
Almost the same. But that's going to do it for the division breakdown of the AFC West. We're going to have another one coming your guys' way shortly. We'll break down the NFC West, so stay tuned for that. Once again, my name's Nathan Hawthorne. This is my co-host, Jared McEnroy, and we will see you guys on the next one.